Greetings, and thank you for the opportunity to share the Indiana Black Academic Excellence Plan, developed and released by the Indiana NAACP Conference. It is a pleasure for me, Dr. Gwendolyn J. Kelley, to speak to you, bringing decades of pride-filled connection to education as a former teacher, curriculum instruction specialist, and research associate at IU Bloomington, and now lead writer and editor of the Indiana Black Academic Excellence Plan. I am joined by my esteemed colleague, Mrs. Carole Craig, our co-editor, who was a former teacher, principal, district-wide human resources director, and now education consultant. Also present is Shawnta Barnes, who has served as a teacher, administrator, and is still in the field teaching at 2 universities and serving as an educational consultant to various schools and organizations. Acknowledging our commitment to all children, we are joining other NAACP representatives who will be sharing this plan with district leadership in their respective communities across the state. Thus, we acknowledge our Indiana State NAACP Conference President, Attorney Barbara Bowling Williams, and the Indiana State Education Chair, Mrs. Deborah Vance, who both have worked tirelessly to ensure that this plan would be available to all regions of Indiana. Carole, will you share the reason we began this journey?
Thank you, Dr. Kelley. Before the pandemic, as far back as 2004, the NAACP started our regular meetings with various Indiana Department of Education representatives, legislators, and fellow stakeholders, noted that the same pattern of low academic achievement as seen here among Black students. Through the years, we have pushed for and achieved putting cultural competency legislation in place. Despite that effort, as well as other efforts, the huge disparity remains for Black students and has gotten worse. We want to be clear that this plan focuses on Black students. Look at that category, please, on the chart. We are not focusing on students of color or minority students, but on Black students. All entities intersecting with Black students across the state must accept targeted research approaches for the education of Black students, beginning with our state officials and legislators. As the NAACP continues to influence these state leaders, we are now asking for the support of school officials, community groups, faith leaders, parents, and students to create the needed synergy to achieve Black academic excellence and eliminate this huge opportunity gap between Black students and other student groups.
This presentation is a simpler version of our larger plan, which can be found on the NAACP's website. This plan has 3 components. Part 1, foundational principles. Part 2, policy action steps. And Part 3, strategies for teaching and learning. Over the next few slides, we will provide a brief overview of each component. Let's get started with component 1. This plan is rooted in 12 foundational Black academic excellence principles. To achieve Black academic excellence, it must first be defined. We believe that Black academic excellence is a perpetual state where all Black students are valued and seen as capable and worthy to be afforded the opportunity, access, and ability to achieve at or above the expected academic grade level proficiency in all subject areas as specified by the state of Indiana for being college and career ready in preparation for working successfully in a global world economy.
These principles begin with the opportunity and access to a fair and equitably funded education legislation by our state and for our school districts in need. We also demand that our Black students are held to high expectations and receive grade level content. We also know students must have the highest quality educators, positive and safe school environments, culturally responsive instruction, knowledge of Black history and culture, and racial justice. We believe Black students can obtain standardized test scores in the same statistical range as the highest performing student group, even though we know there are other important data points. Last but not least, we want our Black students to be proud of their heritage and culture and give back to their community. Dr. Kelley will now cover part 2 of the plan, the policy action steps.
Thank you, Carole. We are pushing policy steps for immediate action by our government leaders because it takes multiple approaches to impact student achievement. First, we are making a deliberate and urgent request for the Indiana Department of Education, IDOE, and the Governor's Office to accomplish the Every Student Succeeds Act goals already set in place, or to even move beyond them, to raise Black student achievement within the timetable they have already set. Second, we want to restart regularly scheduled meetings for the Cultural Competency Advisory and Ethnic Studies Committees to discuss related legislative issues. Third, the plan asks that the state student performance data be reformatted to become more user-friendly for parents and stakeholders. Our final key policy step calls for government officials to legislate an education equity officer to focus on addressing improved academic outcomes for Black students. The third component of our plan includes 15 research-based strategies to close the achievement opportunity gap. These strategies include prioritizing Black student achievement, addressing the need of the whole child to produce resiliency and equitable funding to support student services. Additionally, we are concerned about tackling COVID-19 disparities and the digital divide that still plagues us, along with preschool access issues.
Strategy 15 is a strategy we would like to briefly highlight. Carole will share more about the importance of Strategy 15, which provides guidance for creating cultural competency plans.
Our last strategy consists of support for district and school cultural competency planning, and we have listed what we believe to be 11 critical components which have been thoroughly researched of an effective cultural competency plan. Each district can measure their own cultural competency plan against these 11 components.
The plan's appendix includes additional best practice resources, a self-reflective tool template, Indiana code related to culture responsive practices, and state data for 2019 and the 20 through 21 school year for grades 3 through 8 and grades 9 through 10. This plan is a living document and additional data will be added. Carole, please share some statewide collaboration, what statewide collaboration looks like for the 2022 through 23 school year for the plan.
Yes, we first have creating and displaying equity policy statements. Second, sharing accessible disaggregated data for students, parents, and the community. Third, embracing the Indiana Black Academic Excellence Foundational Principles. And fourth, collaborating with us on legislative items to achieve academic equity.
Thank you for listening and joining in our efforts to make it possible to turn around Black student outcomes. Shawnta, Carole, and I appreciate your leadership in supporting all students, and in particular, our Black students in achieving excellence. For more information and updates about this statewide plan, please visit www.ndnaacp.org. Thank you again.